Good morning. My name is Nick. I'm with the Permaculture vlog. Otto's just behind me, our garden cat. Not sure if he's gonna come say hello or not. I just want to say that sorry, yesterday I didn't actually get around to making a vlog. I was actually, sorry for the sunglasses too. I was actually fighting a migraine all day. Woke up, slight headache. I was supposed to go up and do a little bit of trail work at Hacienda Rosa. I was gonna film that and bring you guys along the road, along the ride with me. But yeah, I just woke up at 7, got ready to go, and just my migraine kind of started getting worse and worse, and it took me. So I was pretty much in bed all day yesterday, so what a bummer. Afternoon I finally started to feel a little bit better, and I came out to the garden to do a couple little things. So I'll show you what I did yesterday. Cheers to you, happy Sunday. Hope your weekend's going well, and or whenever you're watching this, I hope it's going amazingly. And let's get started. What you doing over here? What you doing over here? This is Otto. It's our garden cat. If you haven't met him yet, good boy. He likes to go down here underneath. There's a big old hole down here. I know I'm kind of, there it is. There's a hole down there, and he loves to go down. Actually, look at that, my canna lily over here, just about ready for more harvest. I know it's ready for harvest, or I choose to harvest it whenever I start seeing these seed pods forming. These are seed pods, and they turn brown when they're ready. But that typically means that it's just about ready. So I let it flower and do its flowering thing, and then I cut it back and feed it to the chickens. I usually go to the chickens first, but I really wanted to show you this guy, this beautiful zinnia. I love it. I'm excited for it to open up a little bit more, see its full colors. Looks like we still got quite a bit to open here, but yeah, it's a beaut. So beautiful, it reminds me of a lady. Of course, we got this little guy too. Simple, not as complex as this one, but still beautiful. And these are Katie's favorites, these kind of light pink ones down here. Well, look at this guy. I just noticed this guy's opening up too. Same coloration as the zinnias here, but whereas the cosmos up here, but a little different. We got another one opening up, so it's flower time, guys. We got lots of flowers these days, which is great. Attracting those pollinators. I'm actually noticing that some of my plants, I can actually benefit from more pollinators, and I'm usually pretty good at having a whole bunch of flowers around, but not this time. I mean, I have that little patch, but really I'd like to have flowers in every bed. So here, next to my tomatoes, we had these cilantro seeds going, and I let them go to flower, as you can see there, because these flowers are really good at attracting beneficial insects, and as well as this cumin over here. This cumin's finally flowering, or what I think is cumin. If any of y'all can help me ID this, I'm pretty sure this one's cumin. It has these small yellow flowers. It's obviously in the dill family. I can show you a little bit better of a flower over here, I think, as I walk through all the spider webs. I'm pretty sure that's dill. You probably notice my tomatoes are a little bit less bushy. I did a pretty major prune yesterday, and I've pruned tomatoes before, but these tomatoes seem like they're towards the end of their growth. Everything is starting to yellow. It's starting to look kind of diseased, sad. For a while I thought I was going to lose the whole plant, but I think it was just water stress. So I'm actually going to water, but I'm actually going to do that right after I get off with you guys, so I don't have to spend a lot of your time watching me water, you know? So you're welcome. But yeah, we got some tomatoes still on. They're coming up to ripen. So what I did when I prune these, and I just want to be abundantly clear, I did actually not look up how to prune tomatoes. I just used my general pruning knowledge to do this. And so what I did is I first started with anything dead or dying. That's typically the first rule of all pruning. You can always prune off anything that's dead or dying. So that's what I did first, dead or dying. And then I was pruning to open up airflow through the center here, through the center of these plants, because these things, especially right here, it was so bushy that there's absolutely no airflow getting in there. You couldn't even see this this cumin here. You couldn't even see that at all. This was all green mess. of tomato. So I then kind of, clean up everything at the bottom pretty much from a foot off the ground. I took off everything from a foot off the ground, more or less. And then I kind of selected the vines I wanted to keep growing. But you can see there's so much more sunlight penetrating the soil now. So I actually will probably need to mulch, but check this out. Celery I planted a long time ago, still holding on. It's a Chinese pink celery. There's actually one right here at the end. Check that out. It's a Chinese pink celery. And it's producing its little stalks. It's been hiding in here this whole time. It's pretty cool. But with these tomatoes, I basically start at the bottom. So all the bottom here is kind of pruned off. So there's lots of airspace and airflow through there. And then as I went up the tree, or up the vines, I started pruning off anything that was dead or dying or looking sad. And then all of the vines that I knew were pretty much done or about to be done, I just took off completely. Just snipped them off. And the resulting amount of organic material is right here in the chickens. I put it right here because they keep scratching this area and they don't like tomatoes as much. So I figured if I put the tomatoes there, they might not scratch through them, and then I might have mulch there longer, because that's where they always like to scratch first. But I'll let you know how this goes. And the other thing I do with pruning, especially with tomatoes, since tomatoes are pretty susceptible to lots of humidity-based diseases, and I live in the humid tropics in a rainforest, so I've been surprised, honestly, that I've had them going this long without a major disease. So what I did is actually, this week's supposed to be really hot and somewhat dry, so I chose to prune when I knew I was going into a hot, dry time. So if there is any sort of healing problems or issues with healing, it will not necessarily be a humidity-based problem. So that's kind of important to think about. Obviously, there's lots of humidity still in the air because we are in the humid tropics and we're in the rainforest. It's going to be humid here, but it's not going to be lots of rain that's going to be causing any of that. These things, the wounds will be able to dry up and heal nice and cleanly, I'm hoping, because I'm not going to have that rain that'll potentially make them fester a little bit. So that's when I choose to do a lot of my pruning. Also, by pruning right before this long dry period, or right as this long dry period is going to start, less evaporation, less transpiration will happen with the leaves. So as the plant is breathing and all that, it loses water through its leaves. The excess water it has, and basically it pulls it from the roots up into its leaf, and then that gets transpirated up into the atmosphere. So by having less leafy growth, there's less transpiration happening, so less water leaving my plant during this time when it's supposed to be really hot and sunny. So I'm hoping this is going to be a nice little boom of new growth, at least a ripening up of all the fruits that are there, because these guys are, they're going on a few months. And I think they should probably produce longer, but I just noticed that they were not super happy for a while. So I figured I'd do a nice heavy prune, see what happens. If they come back, great. If they don't come back, oh well. I did make sure not to trim the tops of them, especially if they had new flowers up here. So all this here, these guys, you can see the tops here. And if there was a top that was kind of going out and about, I kind of just redirected all the vines so there was still somewhat contained in this area. So this one right here, I actually redirected. So this is now the tip. This is the end of it right here. Originally it was like hanging out all over the pathway here. So I just kind of redirected things so they all are growing in this general area, and just made sure there's lots of room and airspace for them so that any kind of those diseases that rely on that kind of close proximity to humidity and all that will hopefully not have a chance. Actually have a decent amount of food left. I'll give them more. Chicken is doing well. I always like to inspect my feed can, or feed scoop, even though I just filled up their food over here. Plenty there for them. They want to make sure that I don't have anything left over here. They're very greedy in that way. Check the water. Again, this is how I usually check it. I can just tell by how much weight's in there. It's probably about this full, so I gotta fill that soon. I like to fill it when it's about a quarter full, just in case anything weird has been happening in there. Ooh. Hey, Mama. You've been laying late recently. Are you broody? You trying to go broody? No. If she was broody, she'd get all puffy here and start trying to peck at me. Right now, she's just doing her thing. Thanks, Mama, for laying eggs. She just usually lays them earlier. That's why I've been confused. Recently, she's been laying them. Recently, she's been laying them really late, and she's usually done laying egg by like 7:30. So it's good to keep track of your chickens. Kind of, if you only have a couple of them. If you have a whole bunch, it's impossible, obviously, right? But if you only have a couple, keeping track of their kind of regular routine helps for just understanding how they're doing. Update up here are, I only have one watermelon on now. This vine is actually kind of dying back. And I don't know if that was heat stress, I needed more water, or if there's too much overgrowth happening here. But I had a couple vines going this way, but they're all gone. So that's pretty sad. These jalapenos are doing amazing. And I got my first jalapeno really growing now. And the rest of these guys, super happy. I see there's lots of flowers, lots of new fruits trying to come on. They're getting pollinated, so that's a benefit. I added some more of this just papaya leaf mulch here. Here I seeded beans. I seeded cilantro, I think a week and a half ago or so. And then just recently I seeded bush beans that came from the property. So the bush beans were ready to harvest. I had put some here too in this bed underneath the tomatoes in case these tomatoes were about to die off. I put them here because they'll start growing underneath here. And now that I've pruned down here, they actually have some room to grow. So they might actually just grow anyway. And if I end up not wanting them there, then I'll just transplant them, or I'll just cut them back and let all that root material and potentially the nitrogen fixing nodules on there, if they had formed, I'll just leave them in the ground and they'll start doing their thing down there. Garden's doing well. Kale's really starting to kind of boom. So is the chives here. I know there's a lot of sun here, so it's a little harder to see here. Chives are doing really well. Tomatillo, there's actually finally one here that actually feels like it actually might be a full tomatillo. The rest of them have been kind of deflated and sad, kind of like this one here. Really deflated, sad. I keep picking those off and giving them into the chickens in case they want them. They usually like these kind of things. So there's my tomatillo. It's actually probably edible still by me. But I think what I'm going to end up doing is pulling this because I'm not really getting much production from this guy, and it's just taking up so much space in my limited garden bed here. So I have a couple of things in the greenhouse that will need to be transplanted out soon. So I might try maybe a squash there, although I have squash right next door to that plant. It's not doing so well. So maybe I'll try some pepper there. I don't know, we'll see. Hi. Oh, what's going on with you? What's going on with you, huh? How you doing? Very talkative. This is one of my favorite things he does. He does his little kicking his feet there. Alright, just gonna do a quick water in here while you guys are here. So you can see I got a bunch of melon here, a bunch of zucchini. I got like 4 zucchini growing, 4 melon growing. Actually, I think there's 8 melon growing. There's a bunch of doubles in there. And then these front ones here are some orange bell pepper. Trying to get some more pepper growing. And we've got bee bringer in here. This is a small little one. That one right there, Phacelia, bee bringer. And then there's calendula. I'm actually getting a decent amount of calendula starts here, so I'm excited to try to get those going because it's a very medicinal plant that both Katie and I like a lot. So what I think I'm actually going to do is plant it right near this rock, or at least some of them right along this rock here. I'm going to clean out this little overgrowth area that I've been neglecting for a while. Add some compost, and I'm going to put them right along the rock because they like more of a Mediterranean climate, or at least in the Pacific Northwest they thrived, and that's telling me that they like a little bit more of that summer heat. And I'm thinking they might do well against that rock because that rock will kind of dry things out a little bit more. It'll be a little less moist than it would be otherwise here in the tropics. Chickens want to go out, and I'm actually going to let that happen because I didn't let them out yesterday. I usually let them out at least one day on the weekend for most of the day. just to give them a nice opportunity to get some nice fresh greens, go to their dust bath area. If you haven't seen it yet, the dust bath is actually right underneath my mom's house, so it's right down here. That's where they like to go and have a little dust bath. But there's also a nice little pasture down here for them. So there they are there. And there's this nice little, I keep this as a little pasture. I have 2 plantains starting here, plátano. And yeah, this stuff, it's growing really well down here. And the chickens basically come in, fertilize a little bit, scratch, and then I keep them off of it. So the key with chickens is they're gonna keep scratching and scratching. So if you don't want them to destroy a place, you need to either limit the access to it or be ready for it to be completely exposed and have to put mulch and bedding and everything. This experiment failed completely. I had a melon here. I was trying to trellis it up and grow up along the top of this fence here. Well, it just got eaten back too many times and now it's dying. So that's a sad day, but you know, that happens. Cucumber's already flowering, and this guy was only planted in here maybe a couple weeks ago, but super happy. That's the happiest one, and that's one of my 2nd generation ones, so pretty pumped about that. Ooh, here's our cucumber lizard guy. He's been on here on the vlog many times already. And we'll probably continue to be on the vlog if he's going to be the guy managing this trellis here. I think that tail, he's a pretty intense tail there. Anyway, but yeah, look at all this, lots of cucumber growth, really excited about it, hoping it'll be a good producer for us. Sure looks like it. And this, actually need to add more string trellis material. You might get more trimmer line is what I'm using here. But this also seems to be some sort of volunteer tomato-y thing growing here. And I do have a Swiss chard down there that's growing all right. And probably won't be super happy for too much longer because it's going to be shaded out. So I might either need to transplant them, but my plan originally was to let these cucumbers grow up further and I just cut off their bottom leaves to give it a little bit more light and just kind of protect it from the intense rays of the middle of the day with the high cucumber leaves, but we'll see how it goes. All these sunflowers are pretty happy, and you can see down here I have another watermelon. That's why I'm not extremely worried about the one up top, because this watermelon has a couple babies on him, or her, and more flowers, constantly more flowers. So I'm going to use this guy as a ground cover throughout this whole area here. I also seeded a bunch of cilantro from the property throughout here. I'm not sure if it'll take or not. And then of course I did add some bush beans as well. Bush bean here, figuring they'll kind of go up and get a little bit of support from the, they really, all right, well that watermelon decided to tie on, isn't that cool? Watermelon decided to trellis onto that bush bean. A little too young I think for it though, but it'll figure itself out. I think that cilantro takes a long time to actually start from seed. I think it's like 3 weeks, but I did seed in here probably about 3 weeks ago with cilantro, and I only see this one up here, and I think that was just a happy mistake. I think that was a volunteer. So we'll see. This thing about gardening is, especially if you're direct seeding, is like, well, luck of the draw. We'll see if you want to grow here or not. What are you doing? See there, he doesn't really scratch me. You can see he's grabbing onto me, but it's a very gentle, I do feel his claw, but it's not like trying to go into me. But right now, he's very playful this morning. He's usually not this playful, but I haven't actually given him new fresh food yet, so I think he's wanting to show his love. So when we go back in, I give him some fresh food. You good boy. Yeah. So pretty much all my bush beans from here, this is where I've been harvesting the beans that I've been planting around, these yellow ones here. They've actually been sprouting inside their pods. So I open up the pod and I'm seeing them already sprouting, so I'm just putting those sprouting seeds in there. Had a lot of this kind of powdery mildew stuff all over these leaves. from all this rain. I think it's spread a lot, so I actually cut back a lot of leaves on these guys just to keep that from spreading more. And we'll see how that goes. You can see this is what it kind of, but some of the leaves were like completely white, which is pretty sad. So production is limited here with these guys. They're not doing great, so this must not be a great variety for my location. But I'm gonna keep trying, because you just gotta find the right one. That's why I planted more seed, more zucchini seeds, so I can see if it actually, we'll find one that the genetics will match what I need to have here. I thought it would be good there though, because it was one that grows in like the humid kind of Midwest area, the hot humids area. So I don't know, who knows. Sunflowers, I had to stake him up because he was really falling over, but he's not looking as beautiful as he once did, but still a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful flower. So many lizards in these papaya trees. You can see here's another. I was just moving one off of the sunflower here. So here we got a male papaya. I don't know if I'm actually going to keep this tree. I actually don't mind it. It's not in a bad spot. It's right along the fence line of the chicken coop, so it'll just provide a little shade there. And it's right on the edge of this garden too, so I might be okay with it there. If there's any females here, it's pretty much just going to be an absolute keep. I think this tree, this small one here, is a female based on the flower that's starting there. So I'm hopeful, because it's like 50-50 chance you can get male or female, right? But only the females produce, and you only really need one male papaya for every 7 female papaya trees. So I don't need so many males, but they do provide nice high shade, so I'm never too upset. Just doing a nice little look down through the sweet potatoes, see if I see any bulging areas to indicate that we might be ready for harvest, but not quite yet. Trying to see if I see those sweet potatoes coming up. Basically, it should be starting now-ish for the next 2 months. This is when I'll be starting to think about harvesting in here. But usually you can find right where they go into the ground here, right where they're going in there, or these roots. This is really tough here, so I know there's a root down there. But usually they'll start bulging up, and you can see a little bit of the head of the sweet potato coming up when it's ready. But none of these quite look ready yet. But these guys have been doing great I've been harvesting these greens for salads and stir fries, and so they've been really productive already. They're pretty abundant, pretty happy about them. I was really, really interested in continuing to play here. Good boy. I think it's because I was down for the count yesterday. He wants extra attention this morning. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a vlog. I was cleaning up this area along the path, and I said I'd cut this one back, and it just starts growing like crazy again. So this is a beautiful plant. It does flower, makes nice flowers, and clearly I can cut it and it'll keep growing. So I kind of let those kind of plants grow, because I don't really mind a little extra growth here and there. My baby arugula are being assaulted by these banana flower pieces, but they're doing all right. They're growing. And this kale that I transplanted and this little Asian green that I transplanted are also doing pretty well. Peppers are starting to look like actual peppers that want to produce soon, so that's pretty exciting. These are ones the ones over there, they've been there for a while, but all these I transplanted in here from the tomato bed over here. And since then they've seemed to have been a little bit happier, and looks like they're going to start producing soon, so that's exciting. This little lettuce area is doing well. It is, I harvest from here probably a few times a week, so plenty of that. Plenty of greens, lots of arugula coming up through here. Obviously it's time for another garden bed cleanup. As you can see, things are going a little crazy. Getting a little jungly. That's what happens here in the tropics. Things get jungly real quick. So it's pretty much a constant need to keep pruning and keep pulling and keep trying to maintain control of your garden. But I don't mind. I don't mind at all. Just time that it's just a reason, more reason for me to be in the garden, you know? It's how I look at it, how you should look at it is, there's a lot of weeding to do. It just means you get to be in your garden more. And yeah, maybe it's not so fun of a task, but you start learning more and more about your garden. So if you notice it getting a little disheveled and sad, it's fine. Don't worry, guys. Garden will be just fine. It might lose a little bit of nutrient to those things, but if you're cycling all those plants that you're removing, all those weeds that you don't want there, the plants you don't want growing where they are, if you keep harvesting those and you give them to your chickens, and then all that gets processed into compost that goes back to the garden, you're just basically creating that nutrient cycle loop that's going to take care of your garden for you. I am prone to migraines, guys. I haven't actually told you guys that yet, but I am prone to migraines. So on those days where I do have migraines, those will probably be days where I just can't do a vlog because I can't look at a screen that long on those days. It just kills my head. So any day where I do have a migraine, I will try to give you guys a heads up. I did do that yesterday, I think around 4 something p.m. here. So, but I'll try to do it earlier. I meant to do it earlier, but I just fell asleep and trying to recover, etc. So my bad for not getting one out yesterday, but I did do 31 days in a row before that, and I'm proud of that. And yeah, so all right, that's it, guys. Sorry for the long rambling and kind of probably unfocused feeling this morning. I'm still kind of regrouping from yesterday. So hope you all enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments or something you want to see, please leave it in the description below. It really helps me, or the comments below. It really helps me kind of know what you guys want to see and what I should focus on next for you. And please like and subscribe to the channel if you do like what I'm doing. It helps me get more reach and have that motivation to keep going. All right. Hope you all have a good one, and good weekend, good end of the weekend, or whenever you're watching this. Hope you're having a good day that day. And until next time, have a good one.